Okay, you guys, so for this, I'm going to be solving for an unknown in a proportion. If I'm looking at this first set up here, I have x over 7 is equal to 2 over 5. Now in previous videos, we've talked about how you always want to start with your full fraction and work your way from there. So in this case, I have 2 going to x and 5 going to 7. So I know ultimately I need to take 2 and go over here and 5 over here. If I look from 5 to 7, I'm going from a smaller number to a bigger number. Now normally that would mean we need to multiply. But in this case, instead of me sitting here going through and trying to figure out 5 times what gets me to 7 because I know it's going to be a fraction or a decimal, I'm going to take it and take it as 7 divided by 5. So if I do 7 divided by 5, that's actually going to give me 1.4. The reason I did this was because, like I said, instead of entering in my calculator multiple times, 5 times what gets me to 7, I'm just going to reverse it, because now if I take it and take 5 multiplied by 1.4, that will still get me to 7. So I'm going to take this is our constant that we just solved for, and I'm going to apply it up here. So once again, in this case, I went from 5 to 7. This is going from smaller to bigger. So in this case, this means I am going from a smaller number to a bigger number. So this means I need to multiply by our constant that we found, which was 1.4. So if I take 2 and multiply it by 1.4, that is going to get me an answer of 2.8. Because from this case, I took 2, multiplied by 1.4 equals 2.8. And if I worked it backward, it was 2.8 divided by 1.4, it will get me to 2. So remember that the constant of proportionality works both directions, but in this case, I used it to solve a little bit easier instead of multiplying random numbers. For the second problem here, our missing variable is now on the denominator of this first fraction. So we have 15 over x equals 63 over 21. We're getting to less nice numbers. But once again, I'm going to start with our full fraction here. So our full fraction is 63 over 21. So my full fraction, I'm going from 63 to 15. So I need to figure out here what this is. Yes, I know that I need to go from my smaller to bigger number. So I know ultimately on this bottom here, whatever my constant of proportionality is, I need to multiply because I'm going from smaller to bigger. But right here with the information given, I'm going to take 63 and actually divide it by 15 in this case. So if I take 63 and divide it by 15, I get 4.2. Remember that if I take 15 and multiply it by 4.2, I will get 63. But in this case, I just need to solve from x to 21. So in this case, remember that I'm going from smaller to bigger. So I need to figure out what goes here. If I'm going smaller to bigger, I would multiply, but I need to take it and divide it. I know I wrote multiplied earlier because I was talking about going from smaller to bigger, but in this case, I'm going to take 21 and divide it by 4.2 because that is still my constant here. So if I take 21 and divide it by 4.2 because I'm going from bigger to smaller, that gets me to 5. So if I wanted to check my answer, I'd take 5 and multiply it by 4.2 and I should get 21.